This changes everything for the Milwaukee Bucks as we have a massive update ahead of tomorrow's game against the Philadelphia 76ers. And this update is surrounding Joel Embiid and Paul George as they have both been ruled out of tomorrow night's season opener. And this is a lot of Bucks fans fired up. So to break that down, as well as discuss the outlook of the Milwaukee Bucks' first 10 games and how important this first game against the Sixers is and is lining up to be ahead of what is supposed to be a very interesting first 10 games and one of the most important seasons in recent memory for the Bucks. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get to it, quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the 80% who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that button. We're getting very close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us towards that goal, hit that button. It would mean the world to myself. But let's dive right into it. We have a lot to go over today. News just dropped about 15 minutes ago surrounding the season opener, between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. And coming into the game, the biggest storyline over the past couple weeks was Paul George's health. Will he be healthy for the Sixers and on opening night? And the answer was kind of, trending towards no, he's not going to be ready. He's going to be ruled out. But now a report came out from Shams saying that not only is Paul George out, but Embiid is also out for the season opener versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So now the Bucks are coming into a game, their first game in a while, the first game since being eliminated in the first round, with a fairly healthy team aside from Chris Middleton. Now, obviously, the big storyline for the Bucks over the past couple days is that Chris Middleton was ruled out of opening night. But now, when you're looking at this, both Paul George and Joel Embiid are ruled out. You have a lot less firepower to worry about if you are the Milwaukee Bucks heading into this game. Now, obviously, it's still a long 82-game season. Every game matters, though, at this point, especially when you're battling for the Eastern Conference title, like being the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. You're going up against teams specifically like the Boston Celtics, who are favorites to win it this year, favorites to win the title this year, and they ran away with the number one seed last year. So you need to win as many games as you can, especially against Eastern Conference rivals like the Sixers. But as we're looking into it now, you look at who the Sixers have, and they really only have one star left of their team for tomorrow night's game, and that is, of course, Tyrese Maxey. But Embiid and Paul George out. And if you're a Sixers fan, that's obviously very concerning. If you're a Bucks fan, you're probably pretty happy right now. And there's been some storylines around. You see this drop today from Sham saying that the Bucks are the biggest storyline in the NBA entering the 2024-2025 season. If you watch the take, it's basically just him saying that obviously surrounding their aging roster, Dame, Giannis, seeing how they all mesh together is going to be one of the biggest storylines. And it is going to be one of the bigger storylines. How the Bucks respond to all the, critiques and all those things. And the power rankings, we'll have a video on that later. Kind of disrespected the Bucks. You'll see a video on that tonight. There's a lot of things that are going on around the Milwaukee Bucks. And they have one of the biggest storylines, again, of Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, how they will play together. Because if they come out and have another disappointing season, then question marks are going to start rising about why do they, they're already here, but why do they trade Jrue Holiday, this aging roster? 4 of the 5 Bucks starters this season, assuming Chris Middleton and when he gets healthy, are going to be over the age of 30. So it's kind of now or never for the Milwaukee Bucks in the sense of winning another championship like they did a couple years ago in 2022. But you look at the first 10 games for the Bucks, and again, Paul George and Embiid being out is big. They should be able to take care of business against the Sixers. That being said, they still need to go out and actually perform. And this doesn't really take away from the excitement of the game for me because I'm looking to see how Damian Lillard and Giannis play together, how Gary Trent Jr. meshes into this team, how Taurean Prince looks off the bench, how Doc Rivers has kind of, whether it's elevated the offense, elevated the defense, getting to play with some more tenacity. There's a lot of storylines heading into this game against the Sixers, but it will be a little bit easier with both of those stars out. But as you look into the first 10 games, they have a ton of games early. So they play the Sixers and the Bulls. So they play the Sixers Wednesday, the Bulls Friday. Those should be 2 wins right off the bat. And I want you to predict leave in the comments your prediction for the record. But you have the Sixers and you have the Bulls. Obviously, they're going to be playing on the road tomorrow against the Philadelphia 76ers, which, again, the fact that Joel Embiid and Paul George are out, I feel sorry for the fans who paid a fortune to get to the Sixers home opener if you're a Sixers fan and you don't get to see those guys. But you have the Bulls then, and then you have the Nets. Like, those should be 3 wins at this point. But then you're playing the Celtics on the second night of a back-to-back, and that is going to be very interesting, which is why it's so important to win these first 3 games. I mean, you have the Sixers, Bulls, and Nets. Win the first 3 games, and then you head into the Celtics on the second night of a back-to-back. I mean, that's a scheduled loss if I've ever seen one. But you got to go out there and battle in that one as well. And then, of course, you play the Grizzlies, Cavs, Magic, Nuggets, Knicks, Celtics. The end of this 10-game stretch is brutal. The Cavs, good team. The Magic, good team. The Nuggets, great team. The Knicks, a great team. And the Celtics, the best team aside from the Milwaukee Bucks, depending on which way you are on that front. But there's a lot of it's a brutal first 10 game stretch. And again, a Nuggets Knicks back to back November 7th and 8th is brutal. It's really rough if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan. And there's not many days off here. There's not many games and days where you have 2 to 3 days off. So getting a bit of hopefully they win, a bit of an easier matchup opening night. I'm not going to complain at all. I'm a fan of it. And we get to see now how everybody blends into this team. And again, the biggest storyline, like Shams has been alluding to, and a bunch of fans, like the huge storylines here are not, whether or not the Bucks, crush the Sixers in game 1. It's more so about how Damian Lillard and Giannis blend together. And more importantly, how their defense looks. Because we saw it last season. We've saw it numerous times that their defense is the biggest question mark. And as they headed into this season, you could say they kind of addressed it with getting Gary Trent Jr. and Taurean Prince. Neither of those guys are elite defenders by any means, but they're both very capable defenders. And if Doc can get them to buy into the system and even get Dame he's never going to be a good defender or plus defender, get him to buy into it a little bit and play some more defense, I think the Bucks will be in very good shape. But there's just so many question marks. Obviously, there's a couple games tonight. You have the Timberwolves play. You have the Knicks play. You have obviously Timberwolves and Lakers, Knicks and Celtics. So we're going to get to see how the Celtics kind of go up against the Knicks. It's going to be a very interesting game, of course. And you also get to see the Lakers and the Timberwolves. So there's going to be some things. I mean, opening night is here, so it's a very exciting day. But this was the huge storyline. I mean, I didn't expect Joel Embiid to be out in the season opener. I kind of expected Paul George. And it's a bit of a relief, especially considering the fact that Chris Middleton is out for the Bucks. And again, you look at the first 10 games, who knows when Middleton is targeting a return here, whether that's October 31st against the Grizzlies, whether that's later on in the month. Or early in the next month in November. Like, there's a bunch of different targets we don't know for sure yet, but getting him back is going to be crucial to adding some more creation and just shooting, even spot up shooting. But that's why the signing of Gary Trent Jr., and I've mentioned it in multiple videos before, was so important. It gives them depth. It gives them other options because this team is aging, especially when you're looking at specifically Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton and Dame to a degree as well. You needed to add depth off of the bench and in this case into your starting rotation, and that's exactly what Gary Trent provides. And Giannis had some interesting things to say today on his approach to this season. He said, "My biggest thing this year is to stay healthy, playoff basketball. I just want a chance." And he's obviously alluding to the Bucks getting eliminated by the Bucks getting eliminated by the Pacers last season in the first round of the playoffs. A lot of it was due to health. I mean, Dame was out. Giannis ended up dealing with an injury. So if the team can stay healthy, they're obviously going to play it a bit more conservative. We might see days where Giannis gets more days off than in years past. Dame gets more days off. Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez is also dealing with injuries. So there's a ton of storylines heading into what's going to be a very exciting season. And it all starts tomorrow for the Milwaukee Bucks against hopefully a bit of an easier game than we initially thought with of course Embiid and Paul George out. But you still have Tyrese Maxey, you still have some other good players there. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this, and let me know your predictions on their first 10 games.